Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets, we are very pleased you have joined us for the Precious Metals and Critical Minerals Conference. Our next presentation of the day is from Guanajuato Silver. Please note you may submit questions for the presenter throughout the presentation. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings by clicking Book a Meeting in the top toolbar. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome James Anderson, Chief Executive Officer and Chairman of Guanajuato Silver, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol GSVRF and on the TSXV under the symbol GSVR. Welcome back, James.
Greg, thanks so much for the invitation back to the OTC Capital Markets virtual presentation, and great job pronouncing Guanajuato. If you're not doing it every day, it can be a little bit tough work, but we are Guanajuato Silver. We are Mexico's fastest growing silver and gold mining company. And one of the things we're going to focus on today is a transaction that we announced on November 24th to purchase our fifth mine. So a lot of the presentation that we're going to be going through today is focused on that. I would like to sort of give a little shout out to our Bullion store. There are a lot of investors who also like to collect rare and exotic silver coins. Of course, if you buy a silver coin, if it's 1 ounce of pure silver or 97.5% pure silver, basically one coin is like the other. However, ours have a huge fan base. They are really cool looking. And so I invite you all that are looking today to go to our website, check out our Bullion store. You may well find something that you like there for Christmas presents. So this is the transaction just announced last Monday, November 24th. We are buying the Bolanitos mine. It's immediately adjacent to our currently operating San Ignacio mine. We're paying a total of $50 million for the Bolanitos mine. That would be $40 million in compensation up front, which also includes $30 million of cash. So it'll be $30 million in cash, $10 million worth of our shares to Endeavor Silver that currently operates the Bolanitos mine. And I'm going to come back and give a lot more detail about what Bolanitos is, where it is, why it's important to our company, and what the transaction's all about. You can see on this map, there is the state of Guanajuato in gray. All of our mines in and around the city of Guanajuato in gray on the inset map. So El Cubo, Valenciana, and San Ignacio, and now Bolanitos, right beside our San Ignacio operation, will be incorporated into our mining regimen as well. And on the big map of Mexico, a place that I'm going to next week, Topia, that is our other mine, not in the Guanajuato area. It is in the state of Durango. It's a little bit different from us, for us, but it's very high grade and is a key part of our production profile currently. So I am speaking to you from the city of Guanajuato. You can see this beautiful picture that it really does look like that. The climate's great. The food's good. I spend a lot of time here. It is no hardship. It does also, the city of Guanajuato has a 450-year mining history. And that is really the key reason why we've focused on Guanajuato being a company that wants to expand in production in the silver and gold business in central Mexico. And I'm just going to peel away and talk about silver for a few moments. Last week, silver hit a new all-time high price and traded over $56 US per ounce. It's only done that a couple of times in the last 50 years. I expect that very, very strong action on the price of silver to continue. There's a number of reasons for that, and I'm going to just touch on those quickly. If one wants to build a important mid-tier silver mining company, going to Mexico is a pretty good idea. Mexico still accounts for 24% of all of the mined silver in the world. So there's lots of silver here. There are lots of silver mines here. Another important element of the silver setup, the silver story right now, we've been in a supply deficit for 4 years. There's about 1.2 billion ounces of total silver demand per year, but only about 1 billion ounces of supply. So there's about 250 million, 200 million silver ounces that is in deficit. So where does one get those? And if we look at the supply picture here itself, yes, it's 1 billion ounces, but only 850 million come from mined silver. The other 150 million is made up by silver scrap and recycling. So it's also a very important element of just how tight the silver market is. Why is that? Well, almost 60% of silver that's produced is used in industrial capacities, and 17% in total now goes into the solar industry. You cannot make a solar panel without silver. And if one was looking at this same slide maybe a dozen years ago, that solar number would be pretty close to zero. So the outsized growth in our industry about where silver demand comes from, it's in the solar industry, and I think this slide illustrates that pretty well. Solar power will be the vast majority of power generation in the future. So says Elon Musk. Love him or hate him, he's pretty smart, and you can see the trajectory of what solar PV capacity additions in gold here are projected to look like into the future. We've already had a big run that is not about to change anytime soon, and silver use in the solar industry tracked on the black bars. You can see the last information that we've got for this is 2024, but 2025 and 2026 and 2027, there's virtually no way that trajectory stops anytime soon. There's one other really important element about the silver market itself, and that's the fact that silver, mined silver, only 26% of it comes from primary silver mines. Most of mined silver comes as byproduct from lead and zinc mines, copper mines, and gold mines. But the reason why that is so important is that lead and zinc, for instance, have not had a big run in price. Well, silver would have to go a long, long way further in price for a mining company to put a new lead and zinc mine into production only just to get byproduct silver out of it. So I think it's one of the reasons why, yes, silver has had a big run. Can it run further? Yes, it can, because there's still so much industrial demand that soaks up any excess supply out there. And our company, this is a little slide from our recent news release. Our company, first of all, produces over 90% precious metals. It's very different than a lot of the other kind of mid-size Mexican silver producers. A lot of them are really base metal producers. They're lead, zinc, copper producers with a large silver byproduct. We're different. We are a primary silver producer. Most of our mines are primary silver producing mines. The ones that are not, which would be San Ignacio, and now when we close on the transaction with Endeavor for Bolanitos, both San Ignacio and Bolanitos will be primary gold mines with a very high silver content. But nonetheless, what you see from Guanajuato Silver corporately is less than 10% of our revenue is based in base metals. So we are proud of how quickly we've grown the company. Here you can see in 2021, we purchased our first mine. That was the El Cubo mine, also from Endeavor Silver and also in the Guanajuato area. So this mine had been closed for a couple of years. It took us the better part of 2021 to bring it back into production with our first concentrate sales in November of that year. We then purchased 3 additional silver and gold mines. 2 of those are in the Guanajuato area, and then one of them further north, Topia, as I mentioned earlier. In 2023 and 2024, I'm trying to get all of these mines back in operation after they'd been closed down for several years. It took some time and some money. We also added small amounts of production from 2 other projects that we have in the Guanajuato area, El Orcon and Pinguico. This is old surface material that we managed to process as well. And now in 2025, our acquisition of Bolanitos. Here's our growth in revenue over the last 4 years. You can see it's quite dramatic. 2025 will be coming to a close, and with the outsized moves in the price of silver and gold, I think we'll have another new high for our revenue as well. So let's look at what we've just announced that we're purchasing from Endeavor. All of the green mining claims here are our current mining claims with El Cubo, Valenciana Mines Complex and the Cata plant, that's where I'm speaking to you from here this morning, and San Ignacio Mine, all with the green mine claims. What we're buying are all of the blue claims. The Bolanitos mine, they extract material from 3 different mines: San Miguel, La Luz, and Lucero right here. Golondrinas is scheduled for production at Bolanitos in 2026. Currently, the material that we mine at San Ignacio, we truck about 25 kilometers to here at Cata, or sometimes even a little further to our Cubo operation. Starting at sometime early in the new year, we're going to be able to take the San Ignacio material and transport it just 2 or 3 kilometers to the Bolanitos plant. There's obvious savings simply in transportation, but in terms of being able to consolidate this operation, that's obviously something that in the mining business you want to be able to do. I'll make one more comment on this slide. Just geologically, in the Guanajuato area, and you can see Guanajuato City outlined in gray here, but in the Guanajuato area, there's really 3 major structural components geologically. One is called La Luz, which is right here, which contains and is an important structural feature of the veins in this area. And then there's Beta Madre, or the mother vein, that extends all the way from Sabada all the way through to Fresnillo's Las Torres mine and further south again, and influences the deposition of mineralization at Penguico. And then there is the most easterly of those structures, sometimes called Villalpando and sometimes called Sierra. And that major structural feature is what influences the veins at Cubo and other mines in the area. So let's just talk about Bolanitos for a moment. This is our big transaction. In many ways, this is going to be our biggest and best mine going forward. I really have to tip my hat to Endeavour Silver. They have managed to mine here at Bolanitos since 2007, but in the last several years in an extraordinarily consistent way. That's not easy to do with narrow underground vein mining. But they've produced about 2.4 million silver equivalent ounces for the last 4 years running. Their estimate for 2025 is about 2.3 million silver equivalent ounces. The plant at Bolanitos runs at about, or it has a capacity rather, of about 1,600 tons per day. Currently, it is run at about 1,200 tons per day. So there's ample excess capacity at Bolanitos for our San Ignacio material. I'll comment briefly on the resources that come with the transaction. So in all categories, and I'm waving my arms a little bit here. Generally, we don't include inferred alongside measured and indicated, but in all categories together, there is about 25 million silver equivalent ounces. It's actually very, very similar to the resources that we have at San Ignacio, where in all categories, we have about 30 million silver equivalent ounces. So in terms of being able to convert some of the inferred ounces and tons into measured and indicated, I think that's something that we continue to do at San Ignacio. It's something that Bolanitos does as well. So I think that will simply happen in the future as we go. Here you can see very plainly how close the two operations are, and it's something that I do want to emphasize. A lot of mining companies, when they do M&A, if it's a company with a mine in Quebec and they do an acquisition of a mine in West Africa, yes, they're in the mining industry, but is there any actual synergies in the business transaction? I would suggest that here it's very obvious some of the business synergies. The scale bar here, that's only 1,000 meters, so we'll call it 1 kilometer, so less than a mile. San Ignacio here, Bolanitos here, this is their tailings area. You can see perhaps even more directly, this is one of our waste piles. For those of you that don't know, when I say waste, that just means mineralized rock that does not meet cutoff grade. So this is our waste pile. This is one of the Bolanitos waste piles. I like to call it about a 7-iron shot to the north of where we're mining right now. Here you can see another, beautiful panoramic view. I'll just hit the go button and you can watch this run. You can see some of the mining operations. This is San Ignacio, and trucking material from here only 2 or 3 kilometers to the north to the processing plant at Bolanitos will obviously make a lot of sense for us in the future. I do want to highlight too, this is from a news release of ours that goes back to July, where we had really some outstanding exploration results in drilling that we have done at San Ignacio this year, a little bit further west than where we mine in the Santo Niño area. A lot of times we're mining in the Guanajuato area on vein structures that are maybe 3/4 of a meter in width. So we'll call it maybe 2.5 to 3 feet maximum. Here, the intercepts that we got in true width were 4, 6, 8 meters at a time. So that's a big difference for us, and will really aid in our costs as we begin to ramp down and extract material from this area. Likewise, if you go to Endeavor's website and look back at some of the exploration that they've done at Bolanitos this year in 2025, some of it's really, really good. So I am very confident that we're going to be able to take this operation, have material from San Ignacio processed at Bolanitos, and really continue to expand and explore and develop this area for many, many years to come. In terms of exploration, there's a couple of bits of low-hanging fruit that I just want to highlight for everybody. The red blocks that you see here, those are blocks at Bolanitos, and the purple ones are blocks that we mine at San Ignacio. Generally speaking, in Mexico, companies don't like to explore within about 30 meters of claim boundaries, just for legal purposes. So that has not been done in this area of Purísima. Well, that will not be an issue anymore once we complete the transaction. So exploration in this area, linking these 2 blocks, extending this block of material onto ground that is controlled by Fresnillo, which, if anyone doesn't know, that is the largest silver mining company in the world. They have a lot of claims in the area in Guanajuato, but no active mines. And I think it's very logical for us to be able to do something with Fresnillo here and be able to expand the exploration and development of these blocks here. And perhaps the most obvious and my favorite, probably half of the active mining that we do at San Ignacio currently is on this Melodito structure. It absolutely continues here. Endeavor Silver never went after it because they don't really have too much in the way of services, electricity and access to this Melodito area. But for us, simply continuing mining in this direction, that's going to make a lot of sense for the next 2 or 3 years in our future. One other thing that I really want to highlight about the advantages of this acquisition, all 3 of the plants that are currently operating, 2 of ours and 1 of Endeavor's in the Guanajuato area, are all underutilized. And I don't want to make a judgment today about what we might do in terms of curtailing production in one of these operations in order to expand it somewhere else. But certainly this is a recipe for a big opportunity to save money on our processing in Guanajuato. A little look at our share price performance over the last 12 months. You can see we track the price of silver very, very closely. And I think that that's going to continue. People very much, and the market very much liked the announcement of this acquisition. It's a very obvious business arrangement, and I think people will continue to look at it very fondly going forward. One other point that I'd like to make about the market on Guanajuato Silver shares, our shares trade a lot. You can buy it, you can sell it. The liquidity is second to none. So I invite anybody that's interested to have a look at that as a feature of being able to trade Guanajuato Silver shares. A list of some of our large shareholders. Fidelity, that's the Fidelity Gold and Silver Select Fund out of Boston. We put the Sprott logo here, but it really is Eric Sprott, who's a large shareholder. Eric has written checks to Guanajuato Silver on a couple of rounds throughout our trajectory to build the company the way that it is. Ocean Partners has been extraordinarily helpful in providing capital to the company throughout our growth phase. Ocean Partners is the company that we sell the vast majority of our concentrates to, both in Manzanillo and in a city called Torreon further north. So a large and very supportive shareholder in Ocean Partners. I'd just like to, before we look at a couple of questions that people might have, I just want to look at some of the things that we've been spending money on over the last 6 months or so. So as the price of silver and gold have gone up a little bit, we've been able to rearrange our mining operations. We've made major investments in trucks, scoop trams, additions and betterments to our processing plants. So a lot of that, kind of showed up in our last quarter, which was a down quarter for us in a number of different ways. I do expect the fourth quarter is going to be significantly better in terms of production and, of course, in terms of realized price for silver and gold. So look for that as we go forward. And maybe what I'll do here, as you all look at the leadership team at G Silver, I'm just going to take a couple of questions. I can see them popping up here. When does the Bolanitos transaction close is one of the questions. Because of the size of the transaction, it kind of goes underneath any Mexican anti-monopoly review that would need to be had. So we believe we can close this very quickly. Both legal teams are driving towards something in January of 2026 to be able to close. I think that's a very realistic time frame. Also regarding Bolanitos, someone asks, what is the potential to extend the mine life at Bolanitos? Yeah, so again, if we look at the Bolanitos resources at about 25 million silver equivalent ounces, and our resources of close to 30. So again, I'll wave my arms a little bit here just for easy arithmetic. Let's call it 60 million ounces. Well, like if we're only pushing through 3 million silver equivalent ounces through that plant per year, we can go a long, long way converting the inferred into measured and indicated and mining that material. So I'll wave my arms a little bit, but extending the mine life of the two combined operations, that is not a worry. What are your plans for the Sabata mine? And bless your heart, thank you for the question. Let me just go here. So for those of you who don't know, Sabata is a past producing mine. It's currently owned by Endeavour, but it's going to be owned by us soon as part of this Bolanitos transaction. There hasn't been any mining at Sabata for a number of years. However, the structures that are in place at our Valenciana Mines Complex continue right onto the Sabata ground. And as an explorationist at heart, I love this idea. We can go back underground and explore both the green and the blue parts of this structure in ways that have never been done before. It's been 25 or 30 years since these claim blocks were owned by one entity, and at that time it was an entity called the Cooperativa, which was kind of a local mining cooperative that mined a lot of the mines in this area for many years, but in a very sort of old school Mexican way. So being able to explore these two claim blocks and this one long structure together, again, as an explorationist, that's very, very exciting. Do we have funds on hand to close the transaction? The short answer is yes. We did a fairly substantial equity financing maybe about 6 or 8 weeks ago. That coupled with our current situation where we're able to sell silver and gold concentrates at prices that haven't been seen in a long, long time or ever, that allows us to be able to complete the cash portion of the transaction from cash on hand. One last question here, and I think we'll wrap it up. It says, will you have to add more staff at Bolanitos? The short answer is no. It's well staffed. As a matter of fact, just a few days ago, myself and members of our team were over at Bolanitos having a first sort of introductory meeting with some of their folks and describing how we see this moving forward into the future. I'll give you all the same type of clarity that I wanted to give to the workers at Bolanitos. We're not buying the Bolanitos mine. What we are doing is buying Bolanitos S.A. de Seville, which is the company that owns Bolanitos and Cevada and the other claim blocks. And what we intend to do is to simply take that company within our fold and continue it into the future. Obviously, there will be some legal and administrative changes as we go forward. But I would like to continue with their excellent mining and production into the future. That's really the message that I had for the hard workers at Bolanitos and for you folks as well. So I think with that, my time is just about up. I'm going to take the opportunity just to wrap it up here. Thank you all so much for your participation, for your questions, for your interest in Guanajuato silver. It's been a fast run building the company to where it is today. Expect more of this in the future. We continue to want to expand Guanajuato silver in the silver and gold mining business in central Mexico, especially in and around the city of Guanajuato.